Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we have a lady here. She's in the soccer slash football industry. I had the honor and privilege to being around her dad, and I would have to ask her to introduce herself. And she has elevated herself all the way to being on the executive of a league right now that we're going to talk about a little later. So, can you please introduce yourself and give me a little of your background?
So my name is Natalie Comrie, otherwise known as Donnohue's daughter, and I've been in the soccer world since I was born, from little all the way up now. So it's a long story of soccer.
Okay, so did you play the game at all, or you're just an administrator?
So I did play the game. I played the game growing up, but I kind of dropped out. So I was playing at 13 years old with boys because back then I may look young, but I'm not as not as young as I look. Be honest, it at that time soccer wasn't as popular with females as it is now, which is awesome.
Hold on, you may look young, but not how the whole screen changed like that.
Pardon?
Your whole screen changed.
Yeah, something happened there
Yeah,
with
there you go.
my lighting. It got a
Yeah,
short.
no, that's it.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, I've been playing. I was playing with the boys and under 13, and it's hard now because females at this age, females because the industry is so big for them now. Playing with boys, it's not that abnormal, But because it was so new when I was playing in 1993, it was, what are you doing here? You're a girl. You're not for this sport. And those are some of the things I heard while being on the field. So while trying to support my team, you're hearing that from your team and you're hearing that from the opponents. So it was a lot of pressure for me that at that age I wasn't able to mentally take, right? And the injuries were getting bad. I was getting kicked, pushed, punched, everything you could think of. And I remember one game getting kicked really hard that I just went down and tears were coming out of my eyes and I was done. I was ready to walk off and my dad being on the sideline, get up, Natalie, get up. And I had to just get up. It was a great lesson. You fall, you get back up. But it was hard for me to really be that competitive in the sport, surrounded by males. I played a little bit more in high school, but not as much as I should have. And being as good as I was, I should have stick to it, But it was still football surrounded my life, and I was still going out watching my kids play. It's something that still kind of surrounds me.
Let me ask you, based on that experience you're talking about there, was it a co-ed team you were playing on? Was it both a mixture of you were
It was
actually
just
in the
me.
boys team,
I was
or you
actually on the
just
boys team. I was
okay?
actually on the boys team. I believe it was North Scarborough at the time. It's years ago. I can't really remember.
Yeah, I remember they used to have the occasional girl.
The
Yes,
occasional. I was
that's
I was the
yeah,
occasional girl.
yes, yes. I remember that. That's what I wanted to
Yeah.
know if it was around that time. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was like, a girl that just, a parent would push to get their kid on the team, but they never had enough girls to actually field a team, right? So they would, place them where they needed to be placed. It was maybe five girls, but it was just a lot of pressure during a time where at 13 you're going through so many changes with your body as well, and trying to understand all of that, and then being um, bullied. And it wasn't, you go to any soccer team at this point and you'll find, brown, black, purple, yellow, you'll find everything. But in 1993, you're finding a lot of white,
True.
So
Good.
on top of getting bullied to be, because you're female, you're also getting bullied because you're black,
Oh,
so there was a lot of pressure on the field. You couldn't connect with your team because your team didn't want to connect with you. So it was hard. It was hard for me. And I think my parents knew I mentally could not take it. I don't, you know, I just could not do it. maybe they could not mentally take it. So they didn't force me to go ahead and do it. Right. So it was hard. If I could go back and talk to that 13-year-old girl, I have a few things to say to her,
Oh,
being the person I am right now.
all right. So based on that experience now, I met your dad very early, I would say around 76, 77, 77, around West Indies. So
Hmm.
is that to say now that, and you seem to be around that club, was West Indies the first club besides that playing experience you had officially that you got hooked up with or
Hmm.
joined?
Yes, West Indies, because you're saying 77, I'm born 80,
Okay.
right? So that's why when I tell people I'm literally born into this, like this is where I came, was West Indies. So that's the only team I knew of or that my dad played for.
So, okay, did you take a position in West Indies? I guess you stopped playing entirely from that time on. You never lace up your
No,
boots anymore,
I
right? So
never
that
lace up
boots is probably hanging somewhere in your room somewhere, right? So
right beside the heels.
yeah. So seeing that you never played anymore, and you're on the game, and I guess the kids would come a little later. There's a window
Mhm.
in between there where you start being active in the sport. What happened within that window?
So that window, like I started around, I would say 2006 with West Indies on the executive, right? I started for a couple of reasons. One, I've always loved the game, and they're my family, right? Two, my family has a huge part in West Indies. My uncle was part of the executive. My dad was a part of the executive.
What's your
So
uncle name?
Lancelot,
Okay.
right? So he was a part of executive, obviously years before I was, probably around the time you're talking about,
Yeah,
77
I
and
remember
70s.
him clearly.
Yeah, exactly. And then my dad came on after, and he was on the executive for a little bit as well. My uncle played for West Indies and really only played for West Indies. My cousin, Junior Busby, played for West Indies. So it was a part of me. It was always a part of me. So when I was asked, it wasn't even an ask. It was my, kind of voluntold, but it wasn't anything that was strenuous to me. It wasn't something like, oh, I have to do this. It was, oh my gosh, I get to do this.
Okay.
Right.
So you
So
were
it was,
ready. You
I
were
was
ready.
ready. I was ready. Yeah, I was totally ready. And they were already seen as my family. Um, so it was just me finding that place on how I can use my skills to help. Because by that time, I've already graduated from post-secondary. I already had my full-time job. I already had my child. So, I was in a place where volunteering for me wasn't an issue.
Okay. So now we just mentioned child. You're an executive. There's a balancing act starting to take place now, right?
Mhm.
And I understand you have more than a child. So how did that whole executive thing unfold? Because I know you're in the league now, but I want to take it slow. Did that you were doing that well with West Indies, or is that West Indies structure is so solid that most leagues would take members from one of those foundational clubs? Is that what happened?
No, that's not what happened, actually.
And the league we're talking about, were you there? We're talking about was over 35, is it over 35 or
Over 35. Yeah.
okay.
Actually, it's actually considered an over 40 league, but you can sanction to have four players per team under 35, or four players on the field under 35.
Okay, we'll get to the ruling,
But
but
we'll get to that, the
yeah, we'll
logistics.
get to that. But I want to know
But it's
now that
considered an over 40
how
league.
you get plucked from the West Indies executive now to be on the league. And were you there with the Mello League, or were you there? You just came on with the Caribbean Masters League.
I came on with Caribbean Masters League. So I played, there's so much history. So I see Nadia do a lot of work with the league. She was amazing queen that did so much work for Caribbean Masters League. So she was also helping my uncle run his team, which is they were under 13 at the time. So my brother played with them and stuff. So he was coaching, and Nadia was also manager of that team.
And that
So
under 13, continue that under 13, was that a North Scarborough team?
West Rouge, I believe it
Westwood,
was.
yes.
Yeah,
That's with
yes, West
Collie.
Rouge
That was with
with
Collie,
Collie.
right? Yes. Okay. All right.
You know, so I was around Nadia a lot, and I knew the job she did, and I would do little things here and there to help out being part of West Indies. So I would go to meetings as one of the league appointed people to go to a meeting and see what's going on in the league. I didn't go to a lot at that point, but I knew what was going on. So they all knew me. Everybody pretty much knew me in the league. If it wasn't for my dad, they knew me because I was coming around, right? So what happened was Nadia ended up stepping down, right? And taking a break. It was a lot of work, and I totally understand what she did,
Yeah.
to be perfectly honest. So
What was her function when she stepped down? Was it secretary or president?
she was president.
Okay.
I believe she was president. And she was president for many years, and Nadia did everything, everything you could think of.
I remember
She
her.
did. So when she stepped down, they were kind of in a scramble because, like I said, she really did everything. And I had one of the gentlemen approach me. I can't remember his name for some reason, but a very popular name. Anyway, he
Robert?
approached me.
Was it Robert?
No, I remember Robert's name. Oh gosh, he ended up leaving as well because of some of the things that had happened.
One more guess, Barry Baller?
No, I wasn't there when Barry was there.
Okay.
Yeah, that's aging them and aging yourself. But
Yeah. No, I'm trying to give you people at the administrative level in
Oh
that
my
league
gosh.
as they're coming down.
So
But if it's Thompson, I wouldn't know because there was a big switch when Thompson
right.
the name
So
of the league
around
changed.
right. So around that big switch, I was asked to come and help out, and can I come on the executive? At this time, they never really had somewhat of an executive team, right, or executive committee. It was just really the managers all coming together and trying to organize everything. So there was not a lot of organization. So when he had asked me to come on, I did. I came on, and I came on with the fact that, hey, I am West Indies, but I'm going to come on as a manager coming on and, doing that role. So I did that, and that's when literally shit hit the fan. And there was a lot of things. So I was there for two years or a year and a half before we had to restructure everything because, it was hard on our community. Money was lost. Things, it was hard on our community, and
was it a threat to the existence of the league?
it was almost a threat to the existence of the league. Absolutely, absolutely. It was really hard. But what I love about that group, that community, is that when things do get hard, we find a way to get out together, right? And we did. We found a way. That's when the executive was created, and things were put in like order so that people can be held accountable, and nothing like that can ever happen again.
Good.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So I officially came on to Caribbean Masters League 4 years ago as secretary. And then I graduated to secretary / soccer admin assistant.
Okay, now I see you doing all this work around the field, telling who player they can play, telling what team they didn't register and stuff. And I find that is a bit much around game day. So how is that job working for you? How has it been? And then I'll ask you because that might be a lot of information. So
It
I'll
is.
hold off on the, I'll hold off, I'll make it a part two.
Yeah. So, okay. So when we created this whole, we have the executive. So we have our president, our VP, our soccer admin, secretary, and treasurer, right? Um, when you're trying to do something new to a community that really just wants to go and play ball, it's really difficult. So when you see me on, 2, 3 weeks into the league, and I'm going around and I'm trying to get this, that, and the other, it's because change is inevitable, but change is always something people run from, right? And it's very difficult to wrap their minds around how to get things organized in a way that's going to be beneficial to them in the long run, because they can only see today, right? And they can only see where they're coming from. So me running around with my head cut off for the first 3 weeks of the league, or having to sometimes say to a team, I'm sorry, you can't play, you're not registered. It's freaking hard, but, and I've had to do it because how it works, just to break it down just a little bit. Our executive consists of 5 people, but those 5 people are still connected to teams,
Yeah,
right? So
that's what it
we're all connected to a team, right? And I sometimes have to be that person that has to go to my VP and say to my VP, listen, your team can't play. They're not fully registered,
Yeah.
and he has to follow those rules because he was one of the ones that made up the rules,
Okay.
so that it is difficult because we're attached to a team and we have that, while we want our team to play, but the managers play such an important role to make sure that their team members are following the rules.
So is it safe to say that you're sometimes not a very popular person?
I am not a very popular person at all, but I like to think I'm respected by most. And I've had a lot of them on them come up to me, and like most of them. And whether we cuss one week, they come back and, if I'm getting a rose or a beer or a dinner, there's some
Yeah.
form of an apology. Um, but they know regardless, I care about the game and I want to see everybody on the field. But if you don't do it in the manner that it's supposed to be done, I'm going to have to hold you accountable. And that's just it. And I try to be super, I think anybody would tell you, especially from West Indies, I'm the hardest on West Indies.
Be-
And I'm the hardest on West Indies because it's like your kids, you
Yeah.
you say to your kids, like, listen, don't come out on the street and make me look bad. So
Yeah.
I would always tell the team, you guys are not going to make me look bad. You're going to have your shit in order. You're going to pay your fees. You're going to make sure things are done, because I'm not sitting at a meeting hearing West Indies didn't pay, or West Indies has an illegal player, or West Indies is missing a book. Because I guarantee you, if I hear that and I come back to you guys are not going to like it. So I was the hardest on West Indies. If they got a yellow card, a red card, from they come off of that field, they're hearing it from me, because that's my team.
But that's also by example.
Lead by, and I tell them that, I go, I have to lead by example. I cannot be cussing everybody else while you guys are going out there making a fool of yourself. And the first year that a couple things happened in the first year that we did a lot of rule setting. One, every team paid on time.
Oh,
Every team paid on time.
that's an Oscar.
Right? And West Indies, I believe, got most disciplined that year. Yeah.
Okay, so that means you're going for presidency then?
Hell no. I'm good.
Yeah. So how you balancing that? In the preempt, you tell me that you had a son that was playing the game and stuff. So easing into that, how you balancing that? You have what? 1, 2, 3. Stop me.
So I have 3 bio children
Yeah.
and 2 foster children. So I
Okay.
have 5 kids in my house. Yeah.
And who's actually playing the game?
So my son played the game from he was a baby, and got him into it as soon as I could sign him up. Timbit soccer.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he was playing from 5. And I'm so happy sorry, he's playing from 3, and I'm so happy I did that because my dad was able to get that hand in going. Like, he never missed a game. I found them extremely boring, and he took so much pleasure in the Timbit soccer and taking his grandson to soccer. He was on time, early, on the field with him. Like, I loved that. I miss that the most, to be honest.
Yeah.
And he did that all the way up till, he passed, right? But after that, my son kept going and transitioned it to rep at 8 years old. I actually pulled him out of
Just
house league.
for the record, what year did Donnohue pass?
He passed in 2010,
20.
October 2010. Yeah.
Okay.
So we're going on 11 years.
11 years, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so your son start showing that spark when?
He started forever. Like, I don't remember not
Is
seeing
that
him.
are we taking a mom's version here now?
No, no,
or
no.
we
I'm
getting
being
a real
serious.
version?
He was literally kicking the ball from 5 months. Like, just sit there and kick the ball. You'd have to throw it to him and he'd kick the ball. That's all my dad did, right? So he's an athlete though, and I'll get to that. He's an athlete and loves competition, right? So we saw the spark in him about 7.
Okay.
I saw it in him about 7. So he's still playing house league at that time, and I pulled him out of house league because I said, no matter what, they were kicking him, and which is part of the game. Maybe that's my own trauma, but like, he was just getting like injured all the time. And I was just like, I don't understand. It's because they couldn't stop him, so they'd find any way.
That's
right?
what it goes to, yeah.
And that's how it goes, right? So I pulled him out, and I went to Stone was running because he was playing with Malvern actually. And Stone was running Malvern House League at the time, Stone Johnson. And I said, Stone, I know I may seem like a crazy mom, but he cannot do this anymore. Put him in rep. Put him in rep where they're getting trained and they're getting, because he's there. He's obviously too good to play with these kids, and it doesn't make any sense. So that's when he hooked me up with David Higgins, right? And who coached at Malvern for years. And Higgins coached him for, I believe, 3 or 4 years until he went to Dero. Higgins moved him to Dero United, Dero United, which is Academy, Dero Academy.
Yeah.
And he played there for another 3 years, where then he, switched and went to basketball.
Okay, and that's the switch. Was he that good at the basketball too, or was he playing the 2 sports at the same time to make that determination? And how he got by you, and what age, and how he got by moms with that decision?
Listen, I'm still hurting about it, but he was playing both soccer and basketball from grade 5. Grade 5, you're about 11 years old, right? So he was playing both, not at the competitive level for basketball, but he was getting interested in basketball. So he was playing on the school team, and then, grade 4. And then end of grade 4, he went to a summer camp where they trained him. He was training with his coach that he's with now, actually. And his coach said, let him try out for rep. He tried out for rep and made D1 team. So now he's playing 2 sports at a high level. So he's with Dero Academy and DC United Division 1, right? So literally, I was literally everywhere. Me and his dad were literally everywhere. So we'd either leave a soccer game and then he'd go to a basketball game, or leave a basketball practice, go to a soccer game, whatever. Like, that was his back and forth for 4 years.
And what's your hype? I mean, if you're into 1 and you're going into 2, that's all about him.
Yeah,
so
it was.
So somewhere in there, the gas money, something going on with the gas money, and the vehicle need repairs.
Yep.
So
He has
what
a
is
lot
this?
of paying back to do. Let's just put that there. He does definitely have a lot of paying back to do. But my thing was, and talking to the both coaches on both sides, the soccer coaches, I feel like soccer's community is just so different and so pure. And I remember speaking to Dwayne Desario, and he said to me, just leave him. If you can afford to do it until he gets to an older age, right? Same thing David Higgins said. They just said, leave him, and if you can afford to do it. And at that time, I could afford to do it, to be honest. I was able to do both. I wasn't working at the time. I was just fostering. So I had the freedom to drive him everywhere, and I had the means. I was in a privileged place that he was able to do that. When I made him make the decision, because he will tell you straight, I did make him choose. I made him make the decision because I wanted him to focus on one. He was turning 14, and I wanted him to be in a space where he could focus and put his energy into something that he can get post-secondary from. Right? And
Yeah.
that was the reasoning. To be honest, I never knew it was going to be basketball. I really thought it was soccer, but I think he came a point in soccer where he the coaching was going through a lot of up and down at Dero Academy, and I don't think he was being coached the way he needed to be coached, and I think that's why the decision was a little bit easier for him, because in basketball, he was still being pushed to his full potential, right? And I think with soccer, just the changes at that time, because Dero Academy had really great coaches, and there was just a lot of changes, and even Tony was getting sick around that time. There was a lot of things going on, and it was hard for the team.
So he made that choice in the basketball, and how is that working out for him?
It's going really, really well. He got a scholarship to a school in last year, or 2019. No, 2020. He got a scholarship to Maryland, for his prep school in Maryland, for that 2020 September. And then he got also a scholarship for basketball camp in the States. Chris Paul, I think it was, his basketball camp. He got a scholarship for that the summer of 2020. So things were happening for him in 2020, and then COVID hit, and everything just really changed.
So where is that now? Is everything pending? Those opportunities are still
Those
there?
are still there. Yes, those opportunities, and he has a lot of conversations with the coaches, even the coach from that offered him that scholarship. So he is actually moving forward to be leaving his mom in September, right? But what he did in the interim is there's a prep school, Bond Academy, with some amazing coaches that he went to for his grade 10 year. So he was at Pickering High for his grade 9 year. For his grade 10 year, he was in a prep school. Still, COVID slowed them down a lot, because they're supposed to be traveling and doing their thing, but it did slow them down. But he's been getting a lot of training and staying up with the game, and hopefully they can play some games coming up.
So now you're free up. Now your son's making his own decisions now. Supposed to be thinking about not just our children, but everybody's children. What's the future? You guys should try and have an under 19 exhibition.
I've always thought, coming on to the executive, that's always been my goal, is to get something with the youth started. And many of the executive and the managers in the league want that exact same thing. There's been a couple of years that we've, I've pitched, listen, all of our kids are here. Why don't we we have like a Father's Day special type of thing, and then we'll get the kids together and we'll have games and have them showcase themselves, because there's a lot of kids in our little community. We have 12 teams. Each team has like 30 odd players plus our spectators. Let's get something going, right? So we did that a couple of times, which was fun. But something more concrete needs to be done. And we are definitely, before COVID happened, we were on the track of really organizing and getting our community involvement, bringing it up a little bit more, right? And looking past our community of what we see in Thompson Park, or if we play at Leacock, or if we play at Lamport, beyond that, and really connecting with the youth, right? We're still in talks of that, and like I said, COVID has slowed us down, but we're definitely looking into starting something else up, and seeing how we can even do, like you said, an exhibition game, because anything else we will be stretching the executive. That's number one. But number two, it's also finding that cost to really fund that team.
Yeah, because I mean, you're looking at just referees and stuff, and as I said, we can talk to Lucky, which is the referee coordinator. I think I would be a little comfortable with having a youth program.
100%. And like I said, it's been on our table many times, and we've talked about it many times. I just want to go back for a second. When I came on, the league was in turmoil, right? And to be honest, we're literally getting back to a place of organization, because in the gap of where Nadia had left and that stuff happened.
Yeah.
And then I came on, that stuff was happening. We caught it, but it was happening for a long time, right? And to rebuild from that takes time and trust, because what was taken from that community, from our football community, was trust. So what we're trying to do is rebuild that trust, and have some form of organization that will be able to have the team and let the team know, or let the community know that they can trust us to make those other decisions by bringing in youth. Because I'm telling you, the community was hurt. Those players were hurt. The managers were hurt. There was no executive at the time, but the people that have committed themselves, like the executive, were hurt. Once as you mess with money in our Black community, it's hard to gain back that trust. And it wasn't a little bit of money. It was a lot of money.
Okay. So yeah, well, hopefully with sometime, not new faces and new horizon and new ideas, could.
And consistency. They really need consistency. So with that saying, like I said, the youth situation and the youth programs have been on our table for a long time. It's not that we're not talking about it. We want to do it, but we have to have these players trust us. And like I said, what happened before, we're really still working through, and we've gotten far. So when you said, you see me running around, yeah, because I'm gaining that trust. I'm making sure they know what I'm doing with their information, why I need their information, and how their information is important for us to build that trust. So when they can see it, then they're going to bring in those, so when we shout out, hey, we want a youth team, we want, get us some youth, and we really reach out, they're going to be there for us. And I think we're almost there. This is going on the second year now. We may not have any football.
Yeah.
And those 2 years is huge.
Well,
of not having football.
Should be planning years now.
All we're doing is planning, but where this community feels the building and feels that energy is by seeing each other. Amazing things happen the moment you drive into that soccer field. I remember feeling the same feeling driving into Flemo, or driving into to Leacock, or driving
Wait.
into.
What kind of Flamo situation you sticking in here? What you know about Flamo?
I know about Flemo. My Sunday dinners only happened at Flemington Park, and that camaraderie, that togetherness, that love, that family, that, I could be at one end at Flemo and walk the other end and get hailed up as a 7-year-old, as an 8-year-old, as a
Wait.
5-year-old.
Hold on, Natalie. Hold on here. You're sticking that because even in the preamp I was telling you, I wasn't even aware that your dad played such a role with some of the teams behind. It had to be behind the scenes because in listening to Bugs and these guys when they mentioning his name and even what Busby. Busby mentioned is your dad who brought him to Tampa. That's when I clicked.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So, the thing about my dad, he was really humble. His main goal was just, let's be happy together. Let's just laugh. If you remember him,
Yeah,
if you didn't laugh when you're around him, then you need to go to a doctor because you lost the laughing gene. Because he was there to make people smile, to give jokes, to, not to say, if you got him angry, the most of the times you're getting him angry was something happened on the field, and that's the part of Donnohue you didn't want to see. That's a guarantee.
I never saw it, so that's
Thank God. Thank God. There are stories, Bugs and them will tell you the stories.
Right.
But
As a matter of fact, that's why I liked him because when I went West Indies in '77, he was one of the younger guys, and he was so pleasant. And
he's very humble. Like, he could have gone to any team and they would accept him open hands, because on the field, yes, he played with West Indies, but off the field, he was talking to everybody. He was around everybody. It wasn't, it was like a one love type of thing. That's just the person he is,
that's what I found out when we brought up Portmore. It's your dad that with my itinerary, I had to follow him. We took the team to all the Jamaican clubs and very cool
Yep.
customer.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
man.
Yeah. He was amazing. And that's how the love of football happened for us. Both of my brothers played football, and my my second youngest, or no, my youngest brother, well, he's older than my youngest brother. So my brother, who played at such a high level, he played with Collie throughout the years, but dad was there really just getting him through it. And then he ended up playing, dad got a link. I don't know how he did it, I'm not sure, but he ended up traveling, him and my cousin, to Jamaica and played on Team Jamaica for a guest game.
Okay.
So
I think your dad capable of anything that if I find
he
out, I'll
definitely
accept.
was. He definitely was. He was that very humble person, but he used his personality and linked people together. I'm very much like that too. I link people together, and so if I have a friend, so I know you do this, I'm gonna pull this person over here because, hey, this person does this. He was very much like that, and it showed at his going away ceremony how loved he was. There was over 2,000 people at his funeral, and it just proved the linkage that he had and the connection that he had to so many people in Toronto, that it was a shock to Toronto that happened. So I remember them saying, the funeral director saying, was he famous? Because I haven't never seen a funeral like this. Over 2,000 people.
Yeah.
It was madness, but
he deserved that. He earned that.
he earned that. It was the work that he did.
Definitely earned that.
Yeah.
So Natalie, what's next for you now? What's next for you?
So in the football world, I'm still there. I'm definitely going to really push as soon as we can get them out. As we have different types of plans that different tiers on if we start this time, this is what it's going to look. If we start this, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
And we have maybe 8 different tiers on how the summer could look, because in reality, we're supposed to be starting in 3 weeks. May 2-4 weekend,
We on
we're
shutdown.
supposed to,
No, that ain't
definitely.
happening. Yeah, that's not
But,
happening.
so we have different tiers that, hopefully we can get some form of a summer, and if not just for football, for the community, for us to get together and really just connect with each other, because I feel like that is one of the most important things of Caribbean Masters League. But
So are you guys getting any feedback in terms of the vaccine? The teams giving you any feedback of where the players at and where they're at and their readiness, or based on this?
they're ready. These men are still.
Yeah, but based on vaccination, based on.
Well, that's the thing. We're working all that. We have our safety plan. Obviously, as a league, we're not going to force anybody to get vaccinated. I think the government's doing a better job at that than we could ever do.
Mhm.
So we're definitely, I know at this point, we're not going that route to say, hey, you need to be vaccinated to play. It's never, you have to look at it like this. We have our players, but we also have our spectators. And our spectators sometimes outweigh how many people we have there playing. So at the end of the day, we can't be a league that says, players, you have to be vaccinated and then have a bunch of spectators. Like that's a hard pill to swallow. So we're not going to take that route, to be honest. But we are going to take, all of our tiers have different safety protocols, and we're constantly, as an executive, talking about what protocols we're going to be following. And, as it changes, we're changing with it. Our executive team is so, there's something that I always share with people, because I get a lot of people look down at me sometimes like, oh my God, how could you do that? How could you work with all them men? And they're so ghetto. Sometimes I hear ghetto and I'm like, you know what? You'll be surprised. On Sunday, that's when they're able to let loose. But I'm letting loose with lawyers. I'm letting loose with teachers. I'm letting loose with such educated men, hardworking men, that if you walk through there with your blinders on, you wouldn't know. That community is so diverse with education. That is why I do it, to make sure people know that I'm sitting beside sometimes, 100-figure people. Like, I'm not sitting beside, the stereotype of, oh, they're all drug dealers. That is not true. I'm not saying they aren't out there, and I'm not saying they're not the 100-figure people, but they still should be respected. And the people that are there, they're working class people. Monday morning, they go to work, and they're making money for their family. And some of them are doing an amazing job at it. I say to the people, if you want something, come to the field on Sunday. Somebody can do it for you. You don't need a business card. You come to Thompson Park. You'll get it done, because there's so much diverse, educated, Black, powerful kings there. And I'm
I
honored.
support that. That's where I get my announcer for my yeah, quick, yeah. You link me, you hook me up.
Yeah.
I'll support you on that one.
Yeah, it's a stereotype that's the stereotype I want to break. That just because we look a certain way doesn't mean we are. That's what society has built for us, and it's frustrating to know I'm sitting around such educated people, and even like we sit around the table and we talk, and the things that we're planning, it's just amazing. Store owners, business owners, entrepreneurs, like they're so inspirational, and it's what led me on my inspirational journey to put my dad's name back out there as a business, that I've been.
Are you out there now? I just asked
I'm
you
out there
what's
now.
next. Well,
I
I
was
said, what's
getting there. I
next?
was
But
getting
okay.
there, definitely. I'm out there now. And, it took me a while to get here because, it wasn't just football that my father taught me. He was an amazing cook, amazing chef, and he was always cooking for the people. That was what most of Toronto knew him for, whether it be juices, chicken, whatever. He owned 2 restaurants that were successful. And I've been doing it with him. Like, I've been really hard in the kitchen with him since 13 years old, you know, but when he passed, it was hard for me to pick that back up because that was my form of mourning, to let it go and just be in denial, you know. But 4 years ago, I said, no, yeah, I'm skilled at this. Let me do it. So that's why if you come to the field sometimes, how I started out, really why I really decided, sorry, not to go back again, but why I really decided to be a part of the Executive Caribbean Masters League. There was something about being around football in that forum that made me feel close to my dad. And it helped me through that mourning period, right? Because I was stuck up to that point that, you know, I did lose my best friend. So it was really difficult for me to move forward. And one day I just went to the field on a regular Sunday, and I'm sitting beside Billy Jack, I'm sitting beside Bugs, you know, Stone, and, you know, all of the elders, I call them, that I love being around. I'm like an old soul. I love being around them. And the stories that day, it just consumed me, that I knew this is where I had to be. So when the call came in and I was asked, it wasn't even a question, because I wanted to be a part of this because this is what I grew up in, you know, so that's what led me to the field. So now that I'm at the field every regular, I'm like, why am I here and not selling nothing? When I was at the field with my dad, with pulling a cooler and opening up the cooler, and, you know, I know how to do all these drinks. He taught me. Most of the time when everybody I buy the drinks, them no say me, I make it, you know?
Yeah.
So I was like, no, I need to bring that back. So I started making juices and I started getting that. And the support was overwhelming and amazing, right? And then I started bringing in the soup. And then I started bringing in the jerk chicken. And you know, so that inspiration and that motivation from the community, it really helped. It really helped.
So what name are you going under now? Let the public know.
Donnohue's Jerk. And I launched it, like I said, 3 years ago, right at Thompson Park. I did my launch right at Thompson Park. Yeah, we had our shirts and everything. You can actually so what we're doing now, because, you know, Dad did a lot of cooking and I love to cook, but I don't like to cook that much, like, you know.
Yeah.
So what I did is he was famous for his jerk chicken, right? And I wanted to take that drum pan flavor that he brought up, that he actually started years ago here outside the clubs. He started it in Toronto, just so everybody knows. He started that jump pan outside the clubs like you would get street food in Jamaica. And I wanted to bring that and bring it in a bottle so people could have it in their homes. So I created our jerk sauce, right? That gives you that flavor of that jump pan that Dad used to do. So it's Donnohue's jerk sauce, right? And we have many different sauces now, because that was the jump off. Now we have many different sauces called barbecue sauce, honey garlic sauce. I have a pepper sauce. I do pre-seasoned foods.
Different touch. So different Donnohue's touch though.
Donnohue's touch. It's everything that I do, I learned from him, to be honest, when it comes in the kitchen. His flavors, and the thing is, he would be in the kitchen and he would talk about it. So these are like, I'll be in the kitchen and I literally hear him when I'm creating, you know, and I've always been that creative type, and we'd both be in the kitchen creating and singing and dancing. So I wanted to bring that to people's table in a way that they can have that love and that joy of cooking and getting that flavor that Dad always loved to serve to everybody, right? So Donnohue's Jerk.
All right, so Natalie, I want to thank you for getting me the time. You make me hungry right now.
Well, we have a special coming up this weekend, so go to my website and check it out. So.
All right, okay, there you go. And the website is?
Donnohus.com. So DONAYOUS.com. Donnohus.com.
All right, I'll send the bill in the mail. Okay, so I want to thank you for giving all the information. You stay safe and continue to give what you could to the league, and hope your son is the biggest success. All right.
Oh,
So
he has to
take
pay
care.
me back, so he will be.
All right. So you take
All
care.
right. You too.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.